Hello my lovely friends, this is Dina and welcome to a new video. Today we are starting a new sketchbook finally. I've honestly been waiting for this moment for a long time when I was still using my previous sketchbook, so I'm really excited to show you the spread that I started this new sketchbook with, and I'm also excited to tell you a little bit more about why I ended up choosing this particular sketchbook. I actually filmed this video back in March, and back then I was really excited to start this new sketchbook with some spring-inspired paintings as it was still kind of wintry outside, but I think that they also really go together with the current season too. And by the way, just to get a few things out of the way here, I have both of these as prints on my shop if you want to check that out. My shop, my Patreon, and also this notebook that I'm using here along with my paints, they are all linked down below. And by the way, I also have the real-time painting process of both of these paintings up on my Patreon page if you want to see how I painted these a little bit more detailed. But anyway, do you remember when I said this when I last started my previous sketchbook? I would probably never ever use a 100-page sketchbook as like my main sketchbook anymore. Let's just say that I think I kind of changed my mind, not because I want to go to a new sketchbook with as many pages as possible, but I really just wanted to go back to my old, trustworthy, lovely sketchbook that I so much enjoyed using last time. So even though I liked my previous sketchbook, and you can hear my thoughts more in depth in my last page of my previous sketchbook video that is on my YouTube channel as well if you want to hear those, but I was just thinking about this sketchbook a lot when I was using my previous one. This is the Moleskine Art Collection sketchbook in size large, which is an A5 size, which is a little bit confusing because I don't know in what world A5 is large. I think that is very much a standard size sketchbook, but I have tried to do my research and I'm pretty sure that is the size that this sketchbook is listed as. But anyway, A5. I was using this as my first like actual painting sketchbook before my previous one, and even though there were definitely some cons and some things that I'm not super happy with this sketchbook, I was thinking about this a lot and I really enjoyed using this one. So I'm really happy to be back, and I'm gonna be telling you why I'm going back to this in a second. Just quickly, this sketchbook has 100 pages. It has one of those pre-made pages where you can put your name, and then it has a back pocket and an elastic band and one bookmark. The pages are 160 GSM in thickness, and the pages are very smooth and a little bit yellowish. So this is not a sketchbook that's ideal for watercolors, I would say. Obviously, if you are really using this as a sketchbook instead of like how I'm using it, which is more like, I don't know, a painting book, I guess, you can definitely use this for a multitude of mediums. But I would say that if you really want to, you know, get a lot out of your watercolors, for example, this might not be the perfect sketchbook for that. The pages are not textured at all, which in some ways I do really enjoy. The pages are again very smooth, and it's not an ideal sketchbook for any sort of paints or watery mediums. And I guess that could make you a little bit confused as to why I went for this one, if it's not really that great for paints, as I use paints all the time. I really cannot even explain to you why I'm gravitating towards this sketchbook. And before I tell you why I end up going for this, I just quickly want to say what I'm painting here. So last time that I started my previous sketchbook, I wanted to go for something a little bit meaningful as my first spread, and I actually really enjoyed doing that. But for this one, I was in the middle of a big painting inspiration when I started this one, and it wasn't necessarily that I just wanted to paint something really meaningful. I really just had a lot of photos saved on my Unsplash that I wanted to use for my paintings, so I really just wanted to paint something. And I don't really paint animals very often, especially in my sketchbook, so I really just wanted to paint some animals and some spring inspired landscapes and some flowers, and I just went for it, kind of like these cottagecore vibes I guess, and I really enjoy it. In the first painting we have this cute little fawn laying on some field of grass, and I really loved how it turned out. It has a lot of warm tones and soft shapes, and I just really enjoyed the delicate look of this painting. And on the right page, we have this forest filled with some blue and pink flowers on the forest floor. And I like the fact that the first painting kind of was a little bit more on the detailed side, even though the painting itself also didn't take that much time. But it was definitely like a nice balanced spread in terms of, you know, the first page was kind of more complicated because it had that animal, but it also had that pretty simple background in it. And then the second page was a little bit more just kind of messy and much faster of a painting process while still looking pretty nice and put together. So I really enjoyed that. And again, if you want to see the painting process more in depth, I would highly recommend you to go to my Patreon, because in this video you cannot see all the things that I'm doing with the paintings. I very much just left in some little real-time clips so you can see what I'm doing and just kind of get into the mood of starting a new sketchbook. When I'm painting in sketchbooks, I'm somehow chasing that feeling of freedom and just this like easygoing feel with painting. I have never painted on a big canvas, really. I think that the last time I did that was when I was in school in art class, like years and years ago. And obviously in those moments, I didn't really choose to do that myself. But in my adult life, after I started this hobby on my own, I've actually never painted any bigger pieces than this sketchbook whole spread, and I quite enjoy it. Painting in sketchbooks for me is very self-indulgent, and that's how I like the process to be the most. It's definitely my favorite way of creating. And I think that with that idea in mind, with this sketchbook, I can definitely practice that the most. It's hard to explain when you gravitate towards a certain medium or painting supply or just a sketchbook, because it's a pretty personal choice. I'm never someone that just goes for the known perfect option for anything. I like to try things myself and just see what speaks to me and what I enjoy using. And even though my previous sketchbook was nice and I would say that it's overall very much liked, I just enjoyed this much more. There is something about the thinner pages and the smoothness of the pages and just the fact that it lays flat. I don't know what it is about this, but it just feels so much more low-key painting in the sketchbook. And it doesn't mean that these paintings are any worse or at all like I'm spending less time and effort on these. Like, I love spending a lot of time and making very detailed paintings in these sketchbooks that can be just closed and no one can see inside of it. I just kind of feel like that's the beauty of it, you know? I don't have to make art to be displayed at all. I can display the sketchbook on my table, on my easel if I want to, but I can also just close the page and put this as far away from anyone's sight as I want to. And I think that that is truly the beauty of creating for yourself and finding that passion when you actually do it not for anyone else and not for anyone else's enjoyment but your own. And I talked about this in one of my Instagram reels. I made this video of why I paint in my sketchbooks, because many people ask me that all the time whenever I post a video that goes somewhat viral on Instagram where I'm flipping through my sketchbook pages. People are always sad about the art not having its full moment, I guess. But I think that, again, the beauty of creating art is for you to do it for yourself. And I think it's easy for people to say that, hey, this should be displayed, and oh my gosh, I'm so sad that not more people are able to see this, or you should have this in a gallery so everyone can see this. I think that it's easy to say that if you are not an artist, but as someone that easily could just any day be like, actually, this is not fun anymore and I never want to paint, because obviously that's a big fear of mine, that one day I don't like this anymore. I think that whenever art feels great for you, that is a good sign that you should do more of it, or you should do it, and you should, you know, embrace that moment of feeling great about creating art, whatever that looks like, whether it's only for you and your eyes only, or if you want to share that to some others, maybe just some friends, or if you want to share that online. I think that whenever it comes from your own genuine passion and intrigue and love for it, I think that that's when it is at its best. And I think that the same goes for the supplies you use. You really don't have to use the best supplies there is. For some reason, I just have a big love for this sketchbook, and I wanted to go back to it. I wish it had a little bit less pages than 100, because that is a big investment of my time and energy and effort to try to finish all of those pages. But at the same time, it's kind of like it's an extra special thing because I can see the value in my own art. I know I'm good. I love to look at my own art. I'm someone that loves to go through like old diaries or old photos or messages or paintings, and having a full book of my own paintings, it's like so fun. It's so nice, and I can just say, yep, I did that and I'm so good, and I love that I did that. It's not just like scattered all over my home, or it's not gathering dust in a corner of my room. It can do that if I want to, but it also just can be inside of this book where all of my paintings are living together. They complement each other. They just they all go together. They're like a collection, and I love that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just always that person that gets like a vibe from things. Like I can easily describe a vibe of something. I, by the way, don't enjoy that word vibe, but I guess that's exactly what it is. Like I can just describe the feel of an object, for me, like what kind of thing, like what kind of feeling they give me. And just like that is perfect with the sketchbook. So I don't really know why I should be changing that. And I've also seen other artists really talk about the fact that they always go back to the sketchbook. So there's really some sort of magic in it, I guess. But also at the same time, I'm not saying that this works for everyone, or if you would try this out, you would love it. If you prioritize the technical aspect of painting, you probably don't love this. This is not the best sketchbook for painting by any means. But just for me, it felt really special. But anyway, I talked a lot about my sketchbook. I don't know what happened. I really just paused this video while editing and I was just yapping. But I think it's important to say, like, your enjoyment should come first. No one else's, and you are the only person that matters with your own art journey. Like literally. But yeah, I have to say that I really have enjoyed painting animals lately. Obviously saying lately as in actual lately when this video comes out, because I'm now recording this many months later. But I think that this initial page that I painted off this fawn actually really gave me inspiration later on to paint a little bit more animals. And I think that I'm getting much more confident with it, which is a little bit weird because I've never like knowingly, practiced painting animals. And just painting an animal and it turning out pretty good gives me this inspiration that maybe one day I should be painting a person too. Like I should be painting humans. Like I would be interested in seeing how that would turn out. Maybe one day. I'm definitely not going to be starting my next sketchbook with people though. I can say that already. But yeah, it was very interesting to paint the fawn and all of the furs in it. And I really enjoyed the practice. And yeah, I'm really just excited to kind of go on this journey of painting more things than just nature, because I don't know, it just really gives me a lot of excitement. But I have to say that I really like the pairing of these two paintings. I really enjoy the a little bit more loose forest painting, even though it doesn't look that loose in the end. It actually looks very detailed and kind of intentional. But I have to say that I think when I was painting this, it was already pretty late. So I was like, I'm just gonna, kind of hurry the process a little bit with the second painting. And I don't think it looks like that. Sometimes painting forests is a little bit tricky because you have to make all of those trees and things in the back, and it can be a little bit of a tedious process. But I have to say that I really enjoyed it, especially when we got to painting the flowers on top. I think that then I just got this like new surge of excitement for this painting when I got to work on those colorful flowers on the forest floor. And I don't know, it's always exciting to kind of live a little bit in the next season already when you're painting, because especially with winter, I've talked about this many times, but winter is one of the hardest seasons for me, especially because of the darkness here in Finland. So kind of living in spring already while you are in the tail end of winter is always something I very much enjoy, and it just gives me so much new energy. So yeah, working on these greenery filled paintings definitely made me super excited for the upcoming season, which is now behind us, obviously. But even though I was kind of saying that the sketchbook is not that great for painting, and I don't think it is compared to some other sketchbooks there are on the market, I have to say that this does still handle water really well. I was, especially for the first painting, I was using a lot of water while blending the background. I've never gotten any sort of play-through with the sketchbook. Okay, there was one instance last time that I was using my sketchbook, but it was just the page got a little bit like watery, and then a spot kind of transferred to the other page. But like, actually, I've never had any sort of colors actually bleeding through my pages, so that is a pretty big plus. I think that whenever a sketchbook is at least 160 GSM, you can definitely work in it with gouache, and I think this sketchbook is overall a really good example of that, because even though it's definitely not amazing for it, I think it still handles it pretty well, and it works much better than expected. But yeah, that is it for my first spread in my new sketchbook. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and hearing a little bit more about my philosophy with sketchbooks, I guess. I truly love working with sketchbooks, even on these more detailed paintings. I just love having my work inside of a book that, can just hold so many memories, and yeah, I think it's very special. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like the video and leave a deer emoji down in the comments so I know you watched until the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye.